Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Daily Donald, your go-to source for the latest and most controversial developments from President Trump's second term. It's February 7th, 2025, and today's news is packed with high-stakes decisions and international reactions. Before we dive in, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Remember, we go live at 1,000 subs, bringing you real-time updates and in-depth analyses. Now, let's get into today's top stories. First up, President Trump has announced plans to impose very serious tariffs on Canada and Mexico, citing concerns over subsidies and defense spending. He stated that Canada is subsidized to the tune of about $200 billion a year and relies heavily on the U.S. military for defense. The president made this announcement during a press conference at his Mar-a-Lago resort in Palm Beach, Florida. Critics argue that these tariffs could escalate trade tensions and harm economic relations with neighboring countries. Supporters, however, see it as a move to protect American industries and jobs. Historically, the United States has maintained strong trade relationships with both Canada and Mexico, solidified through agreements like NAFTA and its successor, the USMCA. However, trade disputes have arisen over the years, with concerns about trade imbalances and unfair subsidies. President Trump's latest move marks a significant shift in trade policy, potentially signaling a more protectionist approach. The proposed tariffs could lead to increased costs for imported goods from Canada and Mexico, affecting both consumers and businesses in the U.S. Additionally, there's a risk of retaliatory tariffs from these countries, which could further strain economic relations and impact American exporters. Political figures have expressed mixed reactions. Some Republican lawmakers praise the move as a necessary step to protect American interests, while others warn of potential economic fallout. Internationally, both Canada and Mexico have expressed concern, with Canadian officials emphasizing the importance of their economic partnership with the U.S. In international news, the Kremlin has confirmed that there have been no discussions between President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin regarding a potential meeting. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov stated that there have been no preliminary contacts about the necessity, location, or specifics of such a meeting. This comes amid speculations about the two leaders possibly convening to discuss ongoing global issues, including the situation in Ukraine. U.S.-Russia relations have been complex, characterized by both cooperation and tension. Meetings between U.S. and Russian leaders are often pivotal, addressing critical issues like arms control, regional conflicts, and cybersecurity. The absence of planned discussions may indicate a cooling period in U.S.-Russia diplomatic engagements. This could affect collaborative efforts on international security and conflict resolution. Experts suggest that the lack of communication might hinder progress on pressing global issues. Some analysts advocate for proactive diplomatic efforts to bridge gaps, while others caution against engaging without clear strategic objectives. President Trump has signed an executive order imposing sanctions on the International Criminal Court (ICC), accusing it of targeting the U.S. and Israel with baseless actions. The order includes freezing assets and barring entry to individuals and their families involved in these investigations. Human rights organizations, including Amnesty International, have condemned the order as reckless and damaging to international justice. The ICC has been investigating alleged war crimes involving U.S. and Israeli forces, leading to tensions with the Trump administration. This move mirrors actions taken during President Trump's first term, reflecting ongoing disputes over the court's jurisdiction and authority. Sanctioning the ICC could strain international relations and undermine global efforts to hold perpetrators of war crimes accountable. It may also set a precedent for other nations to reject international legal frameworks. International reactions have been largely negative, with allies and adversaries alike expressing concern over the U.S.'s commitment to international justice. Domestically, opinions are divided, with some supporting the defense of national sovereignty and others warning of diplomatic isolation. In domestic affairs, a Boston district judge has temporarily halted Elon Musk's mass redundancy plan for U.S. federal employees, pending a full court hearing on February 10th. Approximately 40,000 federal workers had already responded to Musk's offer of up to 7 months' pay to resign, a figure below the expected 5 to 10%. The initiative, part of President Trump's agenda to significantly reduce the federal workforce, has faced legal challenges over concerns about its legality and potential impact on critical services. Elon Musk, appointed to lead the Department of Government Efficiency, introduced the buyout plan as a means to streamline government operations. However, the rapid implementation and scope of the plan have raised concerns among federal employees and unions. If implemented, the plan could lead to significant reductions in the federal workforce, potentially affecting the delivery of essential services. The legal challenges highlight the need for careful consideration of labor laws and employee rights. Federal employee unions have lauded the judge's decision, emphasizing the importance of due process and fair treatment. Supporters of the plan argue that it's a necessary step toward reducing government inefficiency. President Trump has proposed that the United States take control of the Gaza Strip, displace its residents, and redevelop it as a Riviera of the Middle East. This proposal has faced widespread international condemnation, with countries like Egypt, Russia, China, and Iran denouncing it. The Palestinian leadership has vehemently rejected the plan, viewing it as a violation of international laws against forced displacement. The Gaza Strip has long been a focal point of Israeli-Palestinian conflict. President Trump's proposal represents an unprecedented approach to the region's challenges, suggesting large-scale displacement and redevelopment. Implementing such a plan would likely violate international law and could exacerbate tensions in the Middle East. It raises ethical concerns about forced displacement and the rights of the Palestinian people. Global leaders and human rights organizations have condemned the proposal, warning of potential escalation in regional conflicts. Some domestic supporters view it as a bold solution to a long-standing issue, while critics argue it disregards humanitarian considerations. President Trump has signed an executive order barring transgender girls and women from participating in female sports teams, threatening federal funding for institutions that do not comply. This move has sparked a heated debate over transgender rights and the integrity of women's sports. The participation of transgender athletes in sports has been a contentious issue. This executive order is expected to trigger multiple legal challenges, particularly from civil rights groups advocating for transgender rights. Critics argue that it is discriminatory and contradicts the Biden-era Title IX protections that sought to ensure equal opportunities in education and sports. Supporters, however, claim it is necessary to preserve fairness in women's athletics, citing biological differences that they say give transgender women an unfair advantage. Reaction to the order has been swift and deeply polarized. LGBTQ+ advocacy organizations have condemned the move as a violation of basic rights, with legal experts predicting an immediate wave of lawsuits. Republican lawmakers and conservative advocacy groups, on the other hand, have praised the executive order as a victory for women's sports. Many point to recent controversies in collegiate athletics as justification for the ban. President Trump has directed the Department of Justice to launch an immediate investigation into what he calls massive election irregularities in California and Michigan. This comes after reports of discrepancies in voter registration logs, which the White House claims could indicate fraud. The announcement has set off another round of debate over election security and the legitimacy of state-run voting processes. Trump's concerns over election integrity date back to his first term, where he repeatedly claimed that voter fraud was widespread, particularly in Democratic strongholds. While most of these claims have been dismissed due to lack of evidence, they have remained a central issue in Trump's political rhetoric. If these investigations proceed, they could lead to stricter voter ID laws, increased scrutiny on mail-in ballots, and even legal challenges that could impact future elections. Critics argue that the move is part of a broader strategy to suppress voter turnout, particularly in states that have historically leaned Democratic. Democrats and voting rights groups have denounced the investigation as a politically motivated witch hunt, while Trump supporters see it as a necessary step to safeguard future elections. California Governor Gavin Newsom has vowed to fight the probe, calling it an unprecedented overreach. Meanwhile, some Republican lawmakers have expressed cautious support but warned against weaponizing the DOJ for electoral purposes. In a move that has shocked both sides of the aisle, the Trump administration has proposed a new federal program that would require all young Americans to serve in either the military or a national civil service program for a minimum of 1 year after high school. White House officials argue that this initiative would help build discipline, job skills, and patriotism, while also addressing national labor shortages in key industries. Compulsory national service is not a new idea. It exists in countries like Israel, South Korea, and Switzerland. The U.S., however, has not had a draft or mandatory service since the end of the Vietnam War. Trump's proposal echoes past discussions, but marks a significant shift in modern policy discussions. If implemented, this program could reshape how young Americans transition into adulthood, potentially delaying college enrollments and workforce entry. The proposal also raises concerns about civil liberties, as mandatory service programs could face constitutional challenges. Public response has been mixed. Some conservatives applaud the idea as a means to instill discipline and work ethic, while libertarians and progressives argue that such a mandate is an overreach of government power. Military officials have expressed concerns over logistics and training costs, while universities worry about the impact on freshman enrollment. President Trump has ordered the immediate deportation of tens of thousands of undocumented immigrants, reviving a controversial policy that was central to his first administration. The new directive dramatically expands ICE's enforcement powers, allowing agents to detain individuals in previously restricted zones such as schools, churches, and hospitals. Immigration has been one of Trump's most defining policy areas. During his first term, he sought to curb illegal immigration through strict border security measures, including the construction of a border wall. His latest order is expected to reignite debates over humanitarian concerns and the role of federal immigration enforcement. This policy will likely face multiple legal challenges from human rights organizations and sanctuary cities. The move also has economic implications, as industries reliant on immigrant labor, including agriculture and construction, may experience workforce shortages. Supporters see this as a necessary step to uphold U.S. immigration laws, while critics decry it as inhumane. Some state governors have already announced plans to defy the directive, setting up a potential showdown between federal and state authorities. Attorney General Josh Hawley has announced that the Department of Justice is reopening its investigation into Hunter Biden and the Biden family's foreign business dealings. The investigation will focus on allegations of corruption and potential national security risks, which were previously the subject of intense scrutiny during the 2020 and 2024 campaigns. Allegations regarding Hunter Biden's business activities in Ukraine and China have long been a point of contention. While past investigations did not result in criminal charges, Trump and his allies have continued to call for a deeper probe. The reopening of this case could have major political ramifications, particularly if it leads to further legal action against the Biden family. Critics argue that the move is politically motivated, designed to weaken Democratic opposition ahead of the 2026 midterms. Democrats have blasted the investigation as a political stunt, while Republicans argue that it's a long overdue inquiry into alleged corruption. The White House insists that the DOJ is acting independently, though skeptics question the timing of the decision. And that wraps up another wild day in Washington. What do you think? Are Trump's latest moves a masterclass in leadership or a ticking time bomb for controversy? Are the tariffs a bold economic strategy or a risky gamble? Will the new deportation policies stand legal scrutiny? And could the Biden investigation reshape the political landscape heading into 2026? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. We go live at 1,000 subs, so stay tuned for real-time breakdowns of every major move from Trump's second term. Thanks for watching the Daily Donald. See you next time.